Science Event, Berlin 2013. In the words of the Aquapol founder, engineer William Mohorn, who has been dehumidifying old damp buildings using the energy of the future since 1983, science should create new knowledge and not cement old knowledge.
It's free energy.
Quite a few researchers and scientists can follow the example of Aquapol, or that of its inventor and natural scientist, Mr. Mohorn. Major discoveries on this Earth, such as the first aeroplane made by the Wright brothers, or inventions by Nikola Tesla, cannot, or at least could not, be fully explained using classical physics for many years, if not centuries. And so, at first a brilliant idea, such as an innovative machine, is required, and then a functioning prototype in order to record the observed phenomena as new physical laws in a working hypothesis. This working hypothesis is confirmed or improved using empirical data in order that engineering standards can be achieved and results predicted. And that is essentially the history of Aquapol and its inventor and patent holder, William Mohorn, which started off in Vienna in 1983 and culminated in 1995 with the awarding of the highest distinction for successful Austrian researchers and inventors, the coveted Kaplan Medal. This was reason enough to organise a science event 30 years later on the 10th of October 2013 in the Austrian Trade Center in Berlin. The Deputy Trade Delegate for Austria, Ms. Bettina Lindner, welcomed the interested guests and 3 speakers. Was a new record of 31,000 devices installed worldwide by Aquapol. This is quite a feat. The company grew and grew and grew. And that's why it is all the more interesting that we will be welcoming Mr. Mohorn here soon, so that he can tell us even more about his product and even more about his company. As an introduction, the founder of Aquapol gave the guests a few current indicators of the innovative Aquapol company. In the intervening years, Aquapol has grown further to around 50,000 systems and 20 franchises, licensees. In 2013, for example, the company reported the largest rate of international expansion in company history. Aquapol was established in 7 new countries: Scotland, Denmark, Holland, Russia, Taiwan, Mexico and Ecuador. So, as well as several European countries, we've now also gained Russia. Yes, Aquapol is renowned for having successfully dehumidified more than 1,000 listed buildings. The scientific highlight of the event was Dr. Solida Lim from the leading university for monument protection in Poland, the Nicholas Copernicus University in Torun.
Collegiate Church in Tomb near Manchester, 12th century.
Dr. Solida Lim worked on a long-term dissertation on this innovative dehumidification method within the scope of application on murals on moisture-penetrated masonry.
And the church in Germany. The electric physical method can be used to block the capillary moisture in wall covered with wall painting. This is the area down.
Based on the moisture measurements on the church walls, the dehumidifying effect could be unambiguously verified without any accompanying measures.
Aquapol device, after 2 years of working, created a blockade against capillary moisture in the wall.
As an independent research, he confirmed the dehumidification effect of the modern Aquapol system on many churches in Poland.
Of capillary moisture in wall allowed to bring back.
In his conclusions, the scientists confirmed that when using Aquapol for the murals, optimum ambient humidity can be restored, and also that the condensation content in the interior of the building decreases, and last but not least,
also completely removes musty smell in the air. The electrophysical method can be applied in the building.
The advantage of this process is that it is suitable for buildings with very distinct architectural forms made from various different building materials. Dr. Lim concludes his presentation with a quote from the philosopher Benedetto Croce.
If you believing that the problem have been definitively solved, mean the end of life and end of history. Thank you very much.
An extract from a professional article on the dissertation can be found on Aquapol's science website. Okay, so before I say anything, I would like to try it out on a building that we have chosen, not him. The second speaker was the head of the Institute of Building Biology in Langenberg, Germany, Dr. Crystal Bloom, who has been supervising a research project for 6 years now. And so then I thought about how I could make life really difficult for him. This project concerns a damp cellar directly next to a stream in the Adler Pharmacy in Langenberg. Before the installation of Aquapol, the cellar showed mould cultures which were extremely hazardous to health, caused by both the high wall moisture and a very damp cellar climate. And here are a few more examples, so you can see how different such mould spores can be. So the penicillium looks like paintbrushes, hence the name, which comes from the Latin penicillum, meaning painter's brush. This is an aspergillus. It has heads. This is rhizopus, which often exists on such damp masonry. It has giant black heads and produces very many spores, and it always grows over everything when it is present. And the really dangerous moulds are these three, which we also had in the pharmacy, or I should say in advance. They are 3 types of aspergillus. Aspergillus fumigatus, Aspergillus flavus, which is also known as Curse of the Pharaohs, after exploration of the Pharaohs' tombs, and Aspergillus niger. And this Aspergillus flavus also, in fact all of these moulds, may also release toxins, but not always. But it is not always known whether that is the case. Everybody has probably heard of aflatoxins. They can also be carcinogenic. She confirmed in laboratory measurements that there has been no dangerous mould in critical amounts for around 3 years, and that the condition of the cellar climate has improved greatly. Really is, and I was not counting on everything being all right in 2010, and then we found that these really aggressive flavus and fumigatus weren't there anymore, and there was only a very small amount of this Aspergillus niger. So the main areas where we had found these moulds were once here on this wall, where there is now the new moisture problem with the neighbouring building. Then, on this column, opposite these stairs, those were the places where the fungi were. And here we can see how the mould pollution has decreased here due to increasing drying. So, 2 crosses means heavy pollution, 1 cross means still some pollution, and in brackets means a maximum of around 5 colonies have developed there. The wall moisture values detected in the laboratory also showed a significant improvement without removing the salinized old plaster. A true masterstroke from Aquapol, given the circumstances. The guests also saw our first scientifically developed short documentary film, which took around 4 years production time. It is all about the dehumidification project of Hohenberg Castle, near Lake Starnberg, which was dehumidified with the cost-effective Aquapol dehumidification technology. The recordings before and after the dehumidification, as well as the comparative laboratory moisture measurements in accordance with the scientifically approved DAR method, speak for themselves. After initial skepticism from the owner, Emram von Lichtenstein, he eventually came to the following conclusion.
Mittlerweile bin ich überzeugt davon, dass es wirkt.
I am now convinced that it works. The closing presentation came from Mr. Mahorn himself. He showed some application examples, as well as a few application limitations of the patented mains-independent Aquapol system. And these pH values range from 4 to 6. This means that a voltage of 200 to 300 millivolts. That means that I have here installed an artificial battery which keeps up the moisture in the masonry for me. Mohorn's innovative generator, which to this day no one has been able to explain in scientific terms, uses the energy of the future to successfully dehumidify buildings. NASA News confirmed in 2005 what Nikola Tesla found out in 1891, and what Mr. Mohorn found out even more precisely and much more extensively 100 years later, in his 26-part working hypothesis upon which the new Aquapol generator is based. Zero-point energy is a potentially bottomless sea of invisible, ultra-powerful energy. You have to savour every word of it.
Das muss man sich auf den Zungen zergehen lassen.
Mr. Mahon is the only person in the world since 1985 who has managed to make this free energy available to Aquapol customers. Jeannie Manning from the BEM film, where she says somewhere that my system is currently the only one in the world. I've seen prototypes, but your invention is the first that I've seen that's actually out on the market and actually doing things in the world commercially.
At this time, it's the only one that's tapping into the background energy that I know of that's actually out there in the world.
The audience were clearly impressed by the speakers' performances. A few positive statements on the event. One very good example, I thought, was the building biologist, who demonstrated again how a really easy solution, without any major accompanying measures, could be found for a project which is relatively difficult for the product. I found that really impressive. Hanging up a device which allows normal drying to take place and can save enormous costs. Based on this woman who investigated the pharmacy and everything, and then still hearing about positive results, that seems to me to be something to take a closer look at, and that using it under certain circumstances is justified. The application of the extremely powerful, inexhaustible zero-point energy, also known as space energy, marks the dawn of a new energy era which will enable mankind to have free energy everywhere, making wars over oil a thing of the past. This is the vision of Mr. Mahon. According to Professor Tuotur, this space energy has already been used in ultra-modern computer technology since 2005, thanks to the established Casimir effect. Hendrik booked Gerhard Casimir in 1948. He and then Casimir asks, is there a way of taking the energy away from a few of these waves and gaining this energy from space, so to speak? Thanks to its activities since 1985, Aquapol has established itself as a global leader in the peaceful use of the energy of the future for gentle building dehumidification, and has helped countless thousands of homeowners and residents to create a healthier living environment. It is now down to you to apply this environmentally friendly, cost-effective and structure-friendly technology. You too can help to herald the start of a new energy era with Aquapol, where every human on this planet wins and the environment can recover from oil disasters and nuclear accidents.